I slid the document across the Thanksgiving table, and I watched my brother's face turn white. My father's fork clattered against his plate. Everything they'd stolen, everything they'd built on lies, was about to come crashing down. See, 10 months earlier, my grandfather died and left everything to my golden child brother. $850,000. I got nothing. Not a dollar. Not even a photo. But then I discovered something they'd hidden. Something that changed everything. The question is, was destroying my family worth $500,000? Let me tell you how we got here. I grew up in Connecticut, in one of those picture-perfect suburban families that looked great from the outside. My brother Ryan was 3 years older, and from the moment I could understand anything, I understood that he was the son, and I was just orbiting in the background. When Ryan graduated high school, my parents threw him a party with 200 guests, catered food, a live band in our backyard. When I graduated, we went to Olive Garden, just the four of us. Ryan got $100,000 for college, full ride to his dream school. I got a handshake and directions to the community college. Every family photo, Ryan was front and center, my father's hand on his shoulder. I was on the edge, sometimes literally cropped out when they framed them. There was one person who saw me though. My grandfather Thomas. He was a World War II veteran who'd built a manufacturing business from nothing, sold it in the 90s, and spent his retirement being the kindest man I ever knew. Every Sunday, I'd drive to his house, and we'd have dinner, just the two of us. He'd make pot roast and tell me stories about the war, about building his company, about fairness and hard work. In the summer, we'd fish at Lake Warramog, and he'd say things like, "You've got a good heart, kid. Don't let anyone make you small. Not even family." When he got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, I was there every day after work. Sitting with him, reading to him, holding his hand while he slept. Ryan showed up twice. My father came for the big moments, always with his phone out, always distracted. When Grandpa died, I cried for a week. My family immediately started talking about the estate. The will reading happened at his probate lawyer's office on a gray October morning. I sat there expecting, I don't know, something, a token. Maybe his fishing rod, or his watch, or at least a photograph. The lawyer read through the document, and my stomach dropped. Everything went to Ryan. The house, worth $400,000. The investment accounts, $450,000 in stocks and cash, $850,000 total. To my brother, I got nothing. I looked at my father, waiting for him to say something, to protest, to ask if there was a mistake. He just nodded, satisfied. After the meeting, in the parking lot, I finally asked him why. Why would Grandpa do that? My father didn't even look at me. He said, "Your brother has a mortgage, a wife, kids on the way. You're still young and single. He needs it more." Like I was asking for something unreasonable. Like I didn't matter. I didn't eat for 3 days. I called in sick to work. I'd lie awake at night trying to understand what I'd done wrong, why the one person who I thought loved me had erased me completely. Not even Grandpa's fishing rod. Not even his war medals. Nothing. It felt like being erased from existence. My therapist asked me how I was coping, and I couldn't even explain the hole in my chest. It wasn't about the money. It was about being invisible my entire life, and having it confirmed in the cruelest way possible, from beyond the grave, by the one person I thought was different. Ryan didn't waste time. Within 3 weeks, he bought a $2.3 million house in Greenwich. Not a nice house, a mansion, 6 bedrooms, a pool, a 3-car garage. Then came BMW X7 for him, a Mercedes for his wife. His Instagram became a highlight reel of his blessed life. Photos of the new kitchen, the backyard, the cars in the driveway. Every post tagged my father with captions like, "So grateful for family who believes in me." Family gatherings moved to Ryan's house because now he had the space. 4th of July at his pool. Christmas in his great room with the vaulted ceilings. Labor Day barbecue with catered food and a bartender. I went to that Labor Day thing, and I watched Ryan hold court like a king. He got drunk, loud, arms slung around my father's shoulders, telling anyone who'd listen how blessed he was. At one point, he looked right at me and said, "Dad always knew which son had his head on straight." My father beamed, actually beamed with pride, showing Ryan off to the neighbors like a trophy. My mother stood in the corner of the kitchen, and for just a second, we made eye contact. I saw something in her face, maybe guilt, maybe sadness. Then she looked away and busied herself with dishes. My aunts and uncles, my cousins, they all praised Ryan's success, toured his house, complimented his taste. Nobody mentioned that this success was built on our grandfather's money. Nobody mentioned me at all. I stopped sleeping. 3 hours a night maybe. I lost 15 pounds. My therapist saw me weekly, and I couldn't explain why I felt like I was drowning. Then Ryan posted a photo on Facebook. A boat, a brand new boat docked at some marina, and the caption said, "Grandpa's legacy living on." That's when my grief turned into something else. Rage. Cold, calculated rage. Because I knew my grandfather. I knew him better than anyone. And the man who taught me about fairness, who split the last cookie in half when I was 8 years old, who always said both his grandchildren had his heart, that man would never cut me out completely. Something felt wrong. I found his lawyer's name in the probate documents. Richard Morrison, 70, 8 years old, semi-retired. I called and asked for a meeting. I drove to his office in an old building that smelled like dust and paper. He sat across from me, this elderly man with kind eyes, and I asked him point blank if there was any chance, any possibility, that my grandfather intended something different. Mr. Morrison was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I'm bound by attorney-client privilege. But there were complications before your grandfather passed." He looked at me hard. Then he said something that stopped my heart. There were 2 wills. 2 wills. The first one, dated a year before his death, left everything to Ryan. But there was a second will. Dated October 15th, 2 weeks before Grandpa died, properly witnessed by his hospice nurse and his accountant, notarized, legal. And that will split everything 50-50, right down the middle. In the margin, in my grandfather's shaky handwriting, there was a note. "Both my grandchildren have my heart. Both deserve equal treatment. This is my final word. Thomas." Mr. Morrison looked at me with something like pity. "Your father was the executor. He had a legal obligation to file the most recent will with the probate court. He didn't have to say the rest. My father knew. He buried it. They stole my inheritance." I hired a lawyer the next day, Patricia Chen, a Connecticut estate litigation attorney who'd won 47 probate cases. She sat in her office and listened to everything, taking notes, her face getting harder. When I finished, she said, "Under Connecticut general statutes, a later will revokes an earlier will. Your father had a fiduciary duty as executor. This isn't just civil fraud. This is criminal." We spent 3 months building the case. Patricia subpoenaed probate court records. She interviewed the hospice nurse who witnessed the second will, and the nurse confirmed that my grandfather was completely lucid, that he specifically said he wanted things fair between the grandchildren. The accountant provided notary records with dates and signatures. Then Patricia found the smoking gun, text messages between my father and Ryan. "Don't worry, he'll never know." And Ryan's response, "We're set for life." My father had signed probate documents swearing under oath that only one will existed. Perjury, fraud, theft. I watched Ryan's Instagram during those 3 months. Vacation photos from Turks and Caicos, a Rolex watch, a rental property deal in Stamford. He was spending my money, digging himself deeper, and he had no idea what was coming. Patricia advised me to confront them in front of the family. Maximum pressure, maximum witnesses. I chose Thanksgiving. The irony wasn't lost on me. Gratitude and family, right? I showed up to my father's colonial-style house on a Thursday afternoon. Golden light through the dining room windows. 12 family members. My mother's famous turkey. Ryan's $300 wine bottles. Kids running around. Everyone was surprised to see me. I'd been distant for 8 months. I made small talk. I complimented Ryan's watch. He expanded immediately, couldn't help himself. Rolex Submariner, $15,000. Just closed on a rental property too. $800,000 in Stamford. Gonna cash flow $4,000 a month, baby. My father raised his glass. He made a toast to family, to success, and to the wisdom to know who to trust with responsibility. I felt my stomach turn, but I kept my face calm. Then I said, "Dad, I found something you both need to see. It's about Grandpa's estate." I texted Patricia. She'd been waiting in her car. She walked in with a leather briefcase, heels clicking on the hardwood floor. I slid the document across the table. It landed in front of my father. His face went white. His fork clattered against his plate. Ryan leaned over, read the first page, and the color drained out of his face. What the fuck is this? Patricia introduced herself. Calm. Professional. Devastating. She explained the second will, the legal authentication, the witnesses, the notary. She explained that my father had committed probate fraud. The room went completely silent except for my aunt's sharp gasp. Ryan started spiraling. This can't be legal. Statute of limitations. Something? My father tried to bluster. This is Thanksgiving. How dare you bring lawyers into my home? Patricia cut him off. You committed probate fraud, Mr. Patterson. You filed false documents with the court. We have the evidence. She laid it out. Witness statements ready. Text messages recovered. Financial records showing exactly how Ryan had spent the money. Ryan's wife started crying, realizing their entire lifestyle was built on stolen money. My mother put her hand over her mouth, staring at my father. James, tell me you didn't know. His silence was the answer. Patricia gave them the ultimatum. Settle now. Ryan returns $425,000 plus interest, totaling $456,000. Or refile criminal charges against my father and a civil suit against Ryan, with treble damages under Connecticut fraud statutes. My uncle stood up and walked out without a word. My cousin muttered, Jesus Christ. Ryan looked at me with wild eyes. You're destroying this family over money? I looked back at him. No. You already did that. Everything imploded. Ryan listed his Greenwich house within 48 hours. Panic sale. He lost $200,000. The cars got repossessed. The Stamford rental property deal collapsed, and he ate the penalties. My father's reputation disintegrated. His country club friends stopped calling. His business associates distanced themselves. People at church gave him cold shoulders. The family fractured into 3 camps. People on my side, people on Ryan's side. People desperately trying to stay neutral and failing. The legal proceedings dragged for 8 months. Depositions, court dates, mediation attempts that went nowhere. Ryan's marriage nearly collapsed under the financial stress and shame. In March we settled. I won completely. $456,000 wired into my account. I stared at the number on my screen and felt nothing. Empty. The money gave me security. I paid off my student loans, put a down payment on a modest condo in Providence, started an investment account, but the cost was everything else. My family was destroyed beyond repair. My mother reached out every week. I couldn't answer her calls. Where was she when I needed her? When they were stealing from me? The extended family fractured. Half won't speak to me because I went too far. Half won't speak to my father because he's a fraud. I heard through the grapevine that Ryan moved to North Carolina. He works some sales job now. His marriage survived, barely. My father aged 10 years and 10 months. My mother finally left him. He lives alone in that colonial house that used to host Thanksgiving. I moved to Providence, started over. I have close friends now who know the whole story. I'm dating someone kind. But holidays are quiet. I spend them alone. All the family photos are put away in a box in my closet. My therapist told me I didn't destroy the family. They did, when they stole from me. I just exposed it. But late at night, I still wonder about the alternate timeline, the one where I walked away, kept the fake peace, still had Sunday dinners, even if they were built on lies. The truth is, the family was already broken. I just refused to pretend anymore. Some betrayals are nuclear. There's no coming back. On the anniversary of my grandfather's death, I stood at his grave. I said, I stood up for myself, Grandpa, like you taught me. But I still ask myself at 3 in the morning, did I get justice, or just revenge? Maybe both, maybe neither. Some wounds don't heal. Some families can't be saved. I chose self-respect over false harmony. Grandpa's voice in my memory. Never let anyone make you small, not even family. Would you have fought for what was rightfully yours, or let it go to keep the peace? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more stories about family, justice, and the messy truth about inheritance, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for listening.